Hello everybody, it is Tom and welcome to another video. I've been going to some dark places.
I've been going to some dark places. I hate it when my mind races. I've got so many.
So hello, we are back with finally episode 4 of season 3 of Heartstopper. I am sorry it's taken this long to record and get this video to you, but it's been a time. Like, you don't need to know, but it's been very busy at work and like things have been happening and mental health stuff has not been great, so like bleh. But we're here now and we're going to talk about what is arguably the best episode of the season, possibly of the entire show, at least in my opinion. When last we left off, Charlie had finally, with Nick's support, gone and talked to his parents about what he's been dealing with, and it ended with him saying he wants to get better, which is a good place for any of us to start. So, all right, so let's get right into it. Episode 4 of season 3, which is called Journey. And what a journey it is. I'm very tired. Da-dum. So we start with Christmas time. And I think we finally know why we haven't seen Sarah Nelson in a while. It's because she's been using all of her time to decorate the house. Nelly! Oh, I like Nick's puffy jacket. Will there ever come a day when I'm not like, I need Nick's clothing? Not today. So, oh my god. Okay, Netflix is doing this new thing, probably just for the plebes who can't afford the no ads plan. But anytime I pause, it immediately goes to like showing me an ad.
I think I've still got a couple hours before I see him. It's a long drive and Charlie wants to get home and unpacked and stuff.
So I really like that they started out the episode this way. I really love how this episode is. Oh my god, I don't care about Zumo. But yeah, I love the way this episode is structured, where it's all flashback from dual perspectives. And getting to see this from Nick's perspective and Charlie's perspective is just very satisfying from a narrative point of view and from a character point of view and just from a storytelling point of view. Like, there are things that we could never know if we were just in Charlie's perspective and just in Nick's perspective. So yeah, and I love like the use of, which they do this in the comics as well, but I love the use of the journal entries as a framework for these episodes. I know Darla. All right, well, Darla's here, so you might, here, come here. Here's Darla. I'm not supporting her properly. What do you think? Do you think it's a good narrative structure? What are your thoughts? Darla has no strong opinions on the episode, though she does have strong opinions about her snack time.
I'm so excited to see him. I can't believe it's been 2 months.
Yeah, same.
Once again, with the showing rather than telling, which we talked a lot about during Agatha All Along, the fact that we learned that it has been 2 months, Charlie has been away at a clinic. We learn all of this information through the conversation in a very natural way, instead of like, I don't know, it's good writing is what I'm saying.
How are you feeling?
It's been a long 2 months.
Have you done any journaling?
And I just love that consistently throughout this entire season, Tara is always the one who's checking in on Nick. She's really the only one who we see consistently asking him if he's okay. And I think that's really important because obviously, like, the person who is going through something like Charlie is, whether it's mental or physical, obviously most of the focus is going to be on them. How are they doing? Are they okay? But being the partner of someone who's going through something like that is also extremely difficult and includes a level of helplessness that I think is very difficult to understand for a lot of people. Nick has been through a lot, and I love that Tara consistently checks in on him and is like, but how are you doing? And it's so clear from those interactions that Nick is genuinely not used to that. Like, he's not used to someone asking if he's okay. He always seems a little bit surprised when Tara asks him in this and future episodes. So, but I love that she does it. She's an extremely good friend to him.
Still don't really think I'm a journaling sort of person.
Everyone can journal, Nicholas. It helps you process your emotions.
Right, if I try it, will you stop pressuring me?
Yes.
This is also a really good lead-in into the journaling because, yeah, Nick does not seem like the kind of person who would just journal on his own. I like that we have this intro into it of Tara talking him into doing it. And he has a journal already, so he's at least taken the step of purchasing a journal, or maybe he received it as a gift, which is entirely possible.
You know that saying, things get worse before they get better? I think I understand that now.
Okay, so there's been a lot of discussion about the handwriting here. Is it a mess? A bit. Are there huge gaps between every word? Yes. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with having untidy handwriting. And to be fair, with the journal entry, you're the only one who needs to be able to read it, so. And I like that we have the sound of writing as they do the title screen of Journey. And the green, oh my god, I just noticed that. So the fact that the title screen is done in green, the Heartstopper letters are in green, which of course is blue and yellow, Charlie's and Nick's colors combined for an episode that's equally like half Charlie, half Nick. Very, very cool.
Back in September, Charlie had a GP appointment.
And we have Charlie sitting in between the two people who support him the most, Tori and Nick.
Yes. Thursday, 9:45.
And I know I said this in the previous episode, but I'm so glad that Charlie's parents took this seriously and like immediately went to try to get him the help he needs.
Must have gone okay, because he got referred to an eating disorder service. But the first appointment for that wasn't until January.
Yeah, that sucks. I mean, obviously I don't live in the UK, so I don't know much about the NHS system, but that is the unfortunate downside of like, I mean, I hate our system in the US with private healthcare and private insurance and all that crap, and like it just it sucks. But and I do think it's much better to have free healthcare, obviously, but it does unfortunately come with the side effect of like long wait times, which yeah, in this situation is just devastating when you're dealing with something this serious.
Things started to get really bad after that. His eating disorder got worse.
Can you just stop trying?
You can talk to us, Charlie.
Yeah, we're just worried about you.
What can you stop? I don't have to tell you everything.
Then he started getting really angry, and then he stopped talking to me about it.
I really think this makes a lot of sense because when you've taken that step of finally asking for help, and the help, oh my god, why are you showing me Chanel number 5 when I'm trying to talk about serious things? Asking for help is such a difficult thing, and when you finally do it, only to find out then that the help that you're seeking is literally months away, that you have to sit with these feelings that you finally admitted to and that you're now very focused on and so cannot ignore like you might have done in the past, and people around you now know what you're dealing with. It's just, I can understand why things got worse.
He started skipping school a lot.
Oh, and this is heartbreaking that Nick even goes into the art room, which is the place that Charlie hides out, and Charlie is not there. My heart breaks for Nick during this, because obviously it's so difficult for Charlie, but like, yeah, knowing how much Nick depends on Charlie, and also just how worried he is, and how helpless he feels, and how much he wants to help, but doesn't know how to, and to have Charlie just isolating himself and pushing him away, and just, I cannot imagine how difficult this must have been for Nick. And just like seeing that it's been just Nick in the text messages, no reply from Charlie at all.
And it was becoming unbearable for him.
I didn't mean to.
And I said this during the trailer, but like the fact that we see Charlie with Nick in this space that has only ever been Charlie's, like this is the place where he goes when he's spiraling and pushing other people away. I love that Nick is here with him, supporting him when he's feeling so bad, and being with him in a place where he's usually all alone.
I just feel so shit all the time. I've been so horrible to you and everyone else.
And that's another part of it. Like, it sucks so much being stuck in one of these spirals or cycles, because like you feel awful, so you treat the people around you awful, and then you feel bad about treating them badly, and that makes you feel worse, and it just goes and goes and goes. I also love the angle here that we're down on floor level with Nick and Charlie, like with the room up above us. It feels very intimate, but also very like, I really like obviously the cinematography is fantastic in this whole show. It's also interesting that like when we had the overhead shot, we could see like the tree underneath them with barely any leaves on it, kind of going into winter. But when we look up, we see the brightness from the window, we see lots of leaves and lots of handprints and like this very alive tree. even though it's clearly in the fall and heading to winter. Metaphor. But, we could take it as kind of like, yeah, we're in a difficult place right now, but things will get better. There are people around you who support you. It's going to be okay kind of feeling. At least that's what I get from it.
Didn't feel like enough. I tried to just be there.
Yeah, and for Nick, like, it just sucks because that's all he can do. Like, all he can do is just be there physically and emotionally and let Charlie know that he's loved. Okay, so now we go into a bunch of different things. So just kind of going through daily life and having a few moments of brightness in amongst the horrible feelings. So like, and I love seeing Nick and Charlie and Tori together. Like, it's wonderful seeing the three of them doing something together. And it's very cute seeing Nick drawing on Charlie's hand when, of course, that was one of the first things that, one of their first like connecty moments or flirty moments in the hallway in episode 1, season 1. Aw, and we're all in the park and Darcy's getting a haircut. Especially from like a gender point of view, having that first time when you finally get your haircut, it's a huge moment and it's very scary. Like I just went like progressively shorter and shorter, but back then as like a feminine presenting person, it's really irritating because a lot of hairstylists will not refuse, but basically will not cut your hair as short as you ask them to as a feminine presenting person. And I did have like the hairstylist literally ask me, won't your boyfriend or husband be mad or things like that? Like, what are you talking about? But that's another thing. But in any case, I'm very happy that Darcy is able to move in this direction and get their hair cut. And you can see that, Charlie is not in the best mental space, but he's better when he's around all their friends a bit.
He knew the compulsions made no sense.
I'm very confused by like Nick/Kit's letter O. Like what is going on with this letter O? It looks very much like an E, but that's fine.
But he didn't know how to stop them. Neither did I.
It was an accident.
So it seems like Charlie has called Nick in the night after self-harming, which obviously it's terrible that Charlie is self-harming, but the fact that he called Nick about this is a very good thing. Because that was one of the things that Nick said at the end of season 2. He didn't say stop self-harming. He didn't say anything like that. He just said, promise to tell me if you feel like that again. And it seems like Charlie has been doing that, which is great because when you self-harm is something that has such a feeling of shame to it as well, it's very hard to tell someone else that you've been doing it. But I'm very glad that Charlie is able to do that.
I know it's not your fault.
But I can't stop it.
I do also love that Nick keeps telling him it's not your fault. Like he never blames him. He never is like, why can't you just stop or things like that. He's just extremely supportive.
Do you think maybe you should tell your parents?
I love that Nick throughout this is the one who's urging Charlie to talk to his parents about things because of course Charlie has trouble talking to his parents, especially his mom, but I'm really glad that Nick urges him to talk to them first about the situation in general and then about this so that he can get help.
That said, it had to be my decision.
Yeah, so we have the Daffodil Clinic. It's an eating disorder clinic. We work with children and young people. Our patients receive a personal assessment and dedicated compassionate treatment. We go deeper into the cause of the eating disorder and create a personalized treatment plan for every individual.
Do you think it'd help?
Not really.
Yeah, and when Charlie says he doesn't think it will help, like, number one, it's very easy to feel like that when you're dealing with mental health issues, to feel like, I can never get better, this can never get better. But also there's an element of like, if I think this will help me get better and then I don't, that's even worse. So like not even wanting to hope that it could help. So I definitely understand coming at it from that point of view.
But I get to skip school for a bit.
But it is nice that he's able to make a little joke about it regarding like being off school for a bit. Why is this song so sad?
If you cry, I'll cry.
If you both cry, we'll all cry. This is such a good shot, and I love that we get to see it from both points of view. Like, I love that we see it here from Nick's point of view, Charlie getting farther and farther away, and then we see it reversed later from Charlie's point of view of Nick getting farther and farther away. It's just such a good illustration of this moment of separation. The longest that they struggled being apart for 3 weeks, and now they're going to be apart for, they probably don't know how much time at this point, but what ends up being 2 months. Oh, and just Nick sitting next to the empty chair.
He wasn't allowed his phone in there, so I couldn't even ask how he was.
One thing we know about Nick, and I'm the same, but like when there's something that he doesn't know about or something he's worried about or stressing about, his immediate thought is, well, I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to research this. And in this case, it may not be the best idea because he immediately sees like horror stories about being an inpatient. And I do like that this episode doesn't make it seem like going to a clinic is a magical cure or that it works for everybody. They make it very clear that sometimes it doesn't help, sometimes it makes things worse, but sometimes it can really help, especially if you have the right people helping you. So I like that we have that kind of balanced, realistic view of the situation here. But it is also unfortunate that like Nick sees that range as well. Like the first search result is, my time as an inpatient, a peaceful and therapeutic getaway from the real world. And then we scroll down and it's like, my psych ward horror story.
Guess I tried to keep myself busy, or distracted, or both. I wasn't very good at it though.
Nick. The same thing happened to me when I was learning to drive, that we were on the highway. And the reason I started drifting was because I was trying to look over my shoulder to see if there was anybody behind me. And like, I just started like, my body moved and like the driving instructor did the same thing, like zoom, with the wheel. So I have always thought that like being a driving instructor must be one of the most stressful jobs out there. And we see Nick with the rugby lads. One of the differences between Nick and Charlie is that Charlie, when he's feeling bad, retreats into himself and isolates himself and pushes people away. But it's good to see that Nick is able to spend time with his friends and spend time with other people here, even when he's hurting this much. And hopefully that helps him feel a little bit better.
Where's Charlie been? He's missed like the last 4 practices.
I can't, I just can't really talk about it.
All good, mate. Yeah, we're here for you.
So obviously, like, Nick can't really talk to the rugby lads like he talks to Charlie, like he talks to Tara or his other friends in the friend group. But they're still there for him and they're still supporting him. And yeah, I'm sure that Nick really appreciates the fact that they're here for him and, you know, just giving him a way to distract himself. With all of the friend group knowing what's going on with Charlie, that is always just kind of present in the air when they're together. But with the rugby lads, he can just kind of, you know, disassociate for a while, or, you know, he can kind of just enjoy hanging out with them and not have to think about it for a while, which probably is a good thing.
Charlie said I could tell our friends what was going on. He didn't want them all visiting, but they still found a way to show their support.
It's very sweet to see that they're sitting in the exact same spot in the park where Nick and Charlie always sit, next to this big fallen tree. This is such a sweet thing that they're all coming together to do this for him and to show that, like, even if they can't visit him, at least they can send him evidence of their love.
Do you think they meet gay top shops?
I don't know. I'll make a book list for him. Oh, what about movies?
I love that they all do something different for him that reflects their own personality.
Does he have access to a Blu-ray player at all?
What's a Blu-ray player?
Did Sahar tell you she's having a massive Halloween party?
Imogen keeps on sending me couples costume ideas.
The fact that Imogen has just latched onto Nick is like her queer +1. Like, Imogen sending Nick couples costumes is hilarious.
So you're gonna come then?
I don't know.
Could use a night out. I know I could.
It's interesting also to remember during all this that, like, Tara is also dealing with an immense amount of stress and anxiety right now, but is hiding it from the people around her. So, you know, when she's like, yeah, you know, I could use a night out, she really means it.
It just feels weird.
Without him.
We've talked before about kind of the level of codependency in the different relationships in this show and how it really does a good job of showing that you can love someone and be in love with them without being unhealthily dependent on each other. And I think this is kind of one of the first signs we have of how dependent Nick has been on Charlie. Like, the absolute best costume choice that ever could have been. Like, I would have enjoyed seeing him as Ken to Imogen's Barbie, but like, this is exactly the costume Nick should be wearing. Me at any social situation. Yeah, when I was in school, I never really went to like a big house party kind of thing. I mean, it helped probably that I was, you know, not super popular and in kind of the nerd band drama group. But yeah, I don't know if I'm from a very small town in Western Pennsylvania. I don't know if this kind of party even really happened. Like, there would definitely be parties with like a few people. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't get invited.
You're supposed to be my cat.
This is all I could find.
Bullshit, this is all you could find. To be Ken, you just need like a certain shirt. Like, I don't buy that this is all I could find, but I also do not blame him at all. Plus, I think like for Nick, obviously, if he had dressed up as Ken, he would have been not stuck, like we love Imogen, but he would have been stuck like at Imogen's side the whole night as part of her costume. There would have been so many selfies and Instagram reels and things like that. So not only is he probably more comfortable dressed as Captain America, but it also enables him to be slightly more removed from being in the thick of the party. Because, you know, he clearly, like, he doesn't really want to be here. He doesn't feel up for a party, but he's here. So, yeah, anyway.
Mommy agrees something. What about the photos?
What about the photos? I love Sahara's face. She's just like, oh my God, why am I attracted to this girl? But yeah, this is a hell of a Halloween party. Like, Sahara clearly went all out. And Tao is Frank the Bunny from Donnie Darko, which is a very weird but very good film. I saw it many, 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 many years ago.
Nicholas Nelson, what do you have to say to your boyfriend Charlie Spring?
This is so, like, first of all, Nick being put on the spot, but also just, like, Nick thinking about what he actually would say to Charlie if Charlie was there, being reminded of how much he's missing Charlie and all the feelings that he's feeling.
Hi, Charlie.
And I like that for this moment, we like the sounds of the party cut out. All we can hear is just like the vocals and just like close up on Nick's face.
I love you.
You heard it here first, folks. Nick Nelson loves Charlie Spring.
Okay, that's great.
Like, for that moment, clearly Nick completely forgot like where he was and what was actually happening and was just focused on Charlie.
Oh, cool rabbit costume.
And I love that Isaac is dressed as a gentleman from a Jane Austen novel. Which one is up for debate, but regardless, excellent choice there.
I'm clearly Frank from Donnie Darko.
Tao is like borderline insulted that Isaac thinks that he's just a rabbit.
We watched it last week.
No, we didn't.
Were you asleep again? Were you asleep again? I might have been asleep.
And the implication here is that Tao has attempted to show Donnie Darko to Isaac multiple times. Because, you know, we know from season 1, Elle says that, like, Tao has forced them to watch Donnie Darko. And they just tried watching again last week, and Isaac fell asleep again. Okay, so we have Nick drinking what I assume is beer. He's very much going through the motions of being a teen at a Wild House party for Halloween. Oh. Yeah, so we have Imogen and Sahar, or Barbie and Dracula, as the case may be, just making out, like, in Nick's face. It's interesting, too, the parallel of, like, you know, Nick in season 1, episode 3, at Harry's party, so in the middle of a crowded room, seeing two girls at that time, seemingly. Of course, we know Darcy is non-binary now, but like seeing two people making out across a crowded room. And in that situation, the feeling was like uplifting and ecstatic and like, I can do this. And just here, though, this is a very different mood. And you know, obviously it's great that Imogen is able finally to start embracing her actual feelings and her actual sexuality, but she's doing it in kind of a toxic way. So, and Nick just being absolutely floored by what he's seeing. Yeah, and then we see Sahar kind of storming off. I love that Tara and Darcy are Shrek and Fiona. And you know, that's exactly what Darcy said about prom when they were on the bus to Paris, suggesting that they should be Shrek and Fiona. So I'm glad that it finally happened. And Tara looks amazing as Fiona. They both look great. Everybody looks great. And Nick just kind of like sitting next to Imogen, being a supportive presence.
Everyone kisses everyone when they're drunk. This is literally like when I got a boyfriend and she got mad at me for literally no reason.
It's interesting that drunk Imogen has made this connection that Sahar got mad at her way back when she got a boyfriend, and now is gotten mad at her when she kissed her and then acted like it was all a joke. So obviously these two things are connected because we know that Sahar genuinely is attracted to Imogen and has had feelings for her in the past. So yeah, it's interesting that that drunk Imogen makes this connection that sober Imogen seems to have not made. They do such a good job of showing just the chaos here with like the quick cuts and the music and like the just everyone moving at a different speed from Nick. Like for Nick, everything is like slow and sad and just he's just like you can feel the low place that he's in here, whereas everything else is frenetic and chaotic and loud and wild, and it's just such a good illustration of how he's feeling and how this party is for him. And oof, like as I said, I've never been to a party this big, but I've definitely been in social situations where I felt like this. Yeah, and we see Tara kind of looking at him in concern. But yeah, this whole scene is just so well done and does such a great job of illustrating how he's feeling. And it's similar in a way to the end of GCSE's party with the bonfire in season 2 in episode 3, because again, we have like that feeling of like chaos and lots of people and music and everything's loud and Nick just like slowly going into an anxiety attack. Though here it's less anxiety and more like depression and sadness, but it's still a very similar vibe. And finally, we have Nick escaping to a quiet hallway, a little unsteady because he has been drinking, but oh, poor Nick. I've been there, man. One time I was invited out when I was in my teens. I was invited out with a friend to like a pizza place and all of her friends, and I didn't know any of them, and they were all very loud and like I didn't really vibe with them. And after a while, I just excused myself to the bathroom and just sat in the stall for like half an hour until my friend came in and was like, "Hey, are you coming out?" And I'm like, "No." I think I did eventually come out, but I want to say I left early. I'm not sure, but I very much relate to like needing to escape. And it's also so sad that like up until now, it's always been a case of Nick and Charlie escaping a party together to go to a quiet space. And this is the first time since they've met that Nick has been at a party and he has to escape, but he's by himself. So I'm sure he's really feeling the lack of Charlie here. But then Tao comes by. And I love that it's Tao. Like Tao looking a bit like Totoro without his bunny ears and everything. But the scenes that Tao and Nick have are some of my favorite in the entire show, and getting to see how their relationship changes in each and every one, where like the first one is them at the bowling alley and it's very awkward and very like tense, and Tao clearly does not like him at all. And then to this, where Tao is the one person who seeks Nick out and sees that he's struggling and is there for him and holds him while he cries. Like, it's very cool to see the progression and the changing relationship and how close they do become.
Mind if I join?
Yeah, go on.
I like that Tao comes, you know, first of all, he asks if he can join, if Nick's comfortable with him being there. And when Nick says so, Tao just sits there and like doesn't say anything. I'm sure he doesn't know what to say, but you know, he doesn't try to get Nick to talk. He just sits there. And he sees that Nick is trying not to cry and just hugs him. Just puts his arm around him and lets Nick cry on him. And like, It's such a heartbreaking moment, but also I'm so glad that Tao was able to be there for Nick.
Well, next year I'm gonna make you go as Spider-Man.
Your Marvel agenda is never gonna work on me.
Even if I go as Mary Jane?
I'm very interested in Nick as Mary Jane. Like, I try to imagine what that might look like, and I cannot.
Do the upside down kiss?
Okay, maybe I can be persuaded.
Though, of course, we know that there is another Marvel costume that Charlie would be better suited to.
So I have anorexia and OCD.
Oh.
Yeah, there's not really an awkward way to say that.
Yeah, if anyone has not seen my recent video about OCD, which I also have, feel free to check it out, because it's a fun time. It's a fun time.
It's like I have all these rules in my head about food, and if I don't follow them, I feel like I'm gonna die.
I love during this whole thing, we're just doing like a super close-up shot on Nick's face, and we get to see, you know, Kit's phenomenal ability to act with his facial expressions alone.
Well, even if you do have anorexia and OCD, the word sorry is still banned.
Again, for Charlie's sake, he tries to keep things light. He makes the S-word joke and shows that, you know, he's not freaked out by this blunt assessment of Charlie's mental state that he has anorexia and OCD. So yeah, I think it's great that Nick does this, but it's also great that we get to see what's going on in his head before he makes the ultimate decision to, like, be more lighthearted about it.
Oh, can't I play the mental illness card now?
I love Charlie's response, can't I play the mental illness card now?
The S-word rule still applies to the mentally ill. I'd visit him with his family a couple times a week after that.
Oh, I love this song. I really wanted to get this song on Spotify, and I was so disappointed to find out that it's only 59 seconds long. Like, what we hear in the show is all that exists, but it's a great song. I think it's called Wish on an Eyelash or something like that.
What? Nothing. Still not sure if Tori likes me.
That's fair. Tori isn't really the kind of person who shows how she feels about people, except for Charlie.
Hello, welcome back.
Hi, nice to see you.
And of course we have the Heartstopper leaves on the wall. But the place, it does look like a very nice clinic, and it has a lot of homey touches that make it feel very warm and inviting. It doesn't feel clinical and cold. And we have the nice green walls as well. Ugh, and I love this where, like, we have blurry Charlie coming into view in the background and just getting the chance to look at Nick unobserved for a bit. And then Nick turns and Charlie comes into focus.
I've been trying to tell you.
And Charlie just grinning. It's so nice that they did this for him and wrote these beautiful messages for him. Yeah, school is so weird without you and all that.
Up in a spaceship.
So they actually managed to get some gay top trumps for Charlie. It's so good to see Charlie's mom being so tender with him here too. And I like how we have a feeling of the passage of time with, like, where they're sitting on the bench changing, where, like, at first Charlie's next to Nick, then he's next to his mom, now he's over with his dad and Tori.
Can you kiss me, please?
And I love that he asks, "Can you kiss me, please?" But I could definitely see Nick thinking, like, oh, maybe it's not appropriate to kiss him here because, you know, this is a clinic. He's supposed to be focusing on getting better, blah, blah, blah. But then we have this lovely kiss with them wearing their different shades of purple in this lovely, idyllic setting.
I think it helped. I really do.
And then the doorbell rings. And Nick just dashing down the stairs. Oh, and this is such a cool way to do it, too, where we see, like, Nick about to open the door, and then we rewind through Nick's memories to get us back to September where we started. Just, I cannot say enough about how well done this episode is and how well structured, and just what a great job it does of storytelling.
I guess a lot's happened since I last wrote anything.
Have you been exercising excessively?
Okay, so we see Charlie at his GP appointment, his doctor's appointment. Unlike the clinic, this does feel very cold. Like, the lighting is very dim and cold, and we have this very harsh light bulb, and Charlie's mom is there, and, like, there's shadows on their faces, and, like, Charlie just looks very withdrawn. His body language is kind of tucked in, and he clearly is uncomfortable in this situation.
Would you say that you're thinking about food almost all of the time?
Yes, I think that's accurate. I say that was accurate, wasn't it, Charlie?
Clearly his mother is trying to help. she's doing her best. Like, she's trying to support him. She's trying to help him. She can see how difficult it is for him. And so she's trying to like help him. It's not really her place to answer for him, but it's clearly coming from a good place.
My therapist said I should write about it in my journal.
And again, here we have like story reason for journal writing to be happening. Seeing this section from Charlie's point of view is heartbreaking, and like the just lying there in the middle of the day in bed, like as the light slowly fades and like not moving. Seeing the breaking of the glass overlaid over him, and then we have the letter from the NHS that he won't be able to get help until January. The do I have an eating disorder, the buzzing, and his mom being, again, not really knowing how to help him, seeing that he's in this depressive spiral, but not knowing how to help him and choosing a not great way to do it. So now we move into the song Serotonin by Angie McMahon, which like this song has been like my anthem since the election results came in. Like, this song has gotten me through some tough times, and even this morning I was listening to it because like I've not been in a great mental health space lately, and much like Charlie lying on his bed, I have been like lying on the floor in front of my heater, unable to get up and do anything. So this morning I put on my playlist that has this song on it, and it did help me like get up, because it is a song about mental health and coming out of a bad situation. So I think it's a really good choice. And so then we have from Charlie's point of view, seeing Nick getting farther and farther away. They did such a good job choosing which parts of the story to show from Charlie's point of view and Nick's point of view, and like not showing us exactly the same things. Like, we're not always seeing the same scenes from different points of view, from, the two different points of view. We kind of skip around a bit. It's just very well done.
Staying in the clinic for a couple of months was not my plan, but I should count myself lucky that my parents could even afford it.
And that's true. It sucks so much that like money, it sucks so much that getting the help that you need, mental or physical, is dependent on how much money you have. Like, that's such an awful thing about our system, especially in the US. Like, in the UK, at least, there is the NHS, imperfect and underfunded though it is, but like, it should not be that way. Like, you should be able to get help for things like this regardless of your income. But that's a whole other rant there. I love that Charlie has the little lemur plush that Nick got for him, and Tori's helping him put up pictures of him and Nick.
I didn't get treated like shit. I had Susan.
Susan! We love Susan.
How do I talk to my friends?
There is a landline on the ward. Much nicer than DMing your friends on Snapchat or whatever it is you kids are using these days.
DMing your friends on Snapchat. Hello, fellow kids. I love Susan so much. And this picture on his home screen of like doing this to Nick's face, which is very comics. I get stressed out if my phone is not right next to me. When I'm in my own house, it's such a lifeline to the world and helps with my anxiety as well, because I know that if I need help, I can contact someone. I can't imagine like not having my phone with me for this amount of time.
Mine's bad.
I'm not sure what this is meant to be exactly. I think it's like an angel statue or something, but yeah, Tao's fish are definitely worse, but
We can't all be artists.
I love that Susan's response is not to be like, oh, it's not that bad, or oh, it's good. She's just like, we can't all be artists. Susan just has a wonderfully down-to-earth, like, dry and funny. Susan's great.
And it's also where I met Jeff.
Jeff!
Hi, Charlie.
Hi.
I'm going to be your therapist while you're here.
Jeff is the best. I'm so glad Charlie has Jeff. He is such like a kind, gentle demeanor, but also clearly really knows his stuff and like knows what Charlie needs. And it's just such a comforting presence.
I think a part of me didn't even want to get better, because putting in the effort to change seemed too hard.
That is like such a true statement there about any kind of mental health struggle, and I definitely know how that feels.
I can't.
I know you can.
And I love how Susan is with him in this. There's no frustration, there's no anger. She just is quietly confident in him and believes in him and says, I know you can do this. and it reaches him and he's able to do it.
I could have called Nick whenever I wanted, but I was still feeling so horrible, and I didn't want him to worry.
Yeah, I feel that. Again, I think I've said this before, but like when I've been in the depths of mental health struggles, the last thing I want to do is let people know that I'm feeling that way. So like I just will not reach out to people during that situation. So I really understand. Like you don't want someone to worry. You don't want them to know about how bad you're feeling and stuff.
I don't even know what I would have said to him. I hate it here and I can't stop crying.
Poor Charlie. I think it's good to be able to reach out in situations like that. But I also think it would have done, I kind of almost feel like it's okay that Charlie does not call Nick in this situation, because like already being in such a state of worry and having Charlie say like, I hate it here and I can't stop crying would have made Nick feel so much worse. And Charlie is in a place right now where he is getting support from other people. So he doesn't have to depend on Nick. So I kind of think this was the right decision not to reach out to Nick in this moment.
For some people, an eating disorder is about body image. But from my perspective, your eating disorder is connected to obsessions and compulsions. Eating the right thing at the right time and in the right circumstances.
I love that they explain this and that Jeff goes through it ostensibly for Charlie, but for Charlie, but also for us, the viewer who may not understand things like this.
And when those obsessions become particularly intense, that can trigger the urge to self-harm.
And as Jeff just calmly lays out all that Charlie has been dealing with just in simple terms, you can see Charlie like seeming to feel ashamed, or, he does that thing where he looks down and kind of closes off and just feels bad about himself.
Okay. So let's unpack that.
But there's no judgment from Jeff. And he's smiling and he says, okay, let's unpack that. Let's talk about it. And this is another part of what makes him such a great therapist. He's just like, okay, this is what you're dealing with. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out what's going on. Let's do something about it. A++ for Jeff. I love this sequence of just Charlie getting up every morning. He just keeps getting up and trying. And we see him talking to Jeff and actually eating with other people, which is huge. Like, this is the one place where you wouldn't have to feel awkward about it as someone with an eating disorder. But, it's a huge step for him. So much of healing from something like this is just getting up every morning, just trying every single day, and hopefully slowly improving, having ups and downs, not always being on the upswing, but just keeping at it. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to stop there for right now because I have to eat some food and get ready to go meet some friends, which I'm actually leaving my house today, so that's a positive. But I will be back, probably in a different outfit. Perhaps I'll get my Nick Nelson hoodie on again. But yeah, so to be continued. We're a little over halfway through this episode. I love this episode. Can't wait to talk more about it. So, yep. All right. That's all for now. See ya.